Hello and welcome to the second part of the Fields of Fire Academy, in which we are trying to explain how the Fields of Fire game plays and works. We already did the first video in this series because we think this great game is worth all the effort to get familiar with. Really a lot of fun, depth, replayability, and really a lot of flexibility for you to make the decisions. What we played in the first run was focused on the platoon activation and movement. Today in the second run we'll have pretty similar situation, however we'll focus on attacking enemy position. So what situation we have? It's pretty similar map as in the first training, let's say, scenario. We have the same first platoon of our company. We have similar additional assets like bazooka, mortar and MG. The new thing is that we have also the enemy. This is the German machine gun, light machine gun. It is spotted, it is known, they are there, and they will be there for the whole, scenario. One thing important, normally when you play and you approach the enemy lines, you would not know what kind of enemy and where they are. Usually you will be for some kind of surprise. Now, before we start playing, couple of important considerations. In the full game, units like MG or bazooka are having a limited number of ammunition, and this ammunition is simply tracked throughout the game. So they can fire only a couple of times. If, I don't know, the game is 10, 12 turns, usually you will have only for some of them. Couple of grenades, couple of MG magazines, that's all. So this is very, very important consideration. Second important consideration is that we have mortar. Forward mortar observer who is in contact with the rest of the mortar teams, and they can bring the incoming 81 millimeters mortar fire. This mortar fire will be of volume -3. I will explain later what does it mean. And in order to bring it, they will be drawing 2 cards, and at least one of them need to have a burst in order for this to be successful. And they have 2 packages, so they can do 2 attempts. So this is about MG, this is about mortars. Now, line of sight. This is a new concept which I would like to explain. The easiest way to explain it in Fields of Fire, the line of sight is in a straight line. So for example, our MG has a line of sight to all adjacent cards and also to this card. This is open field, of course. Because it has long range, you see all to the right, it can fire up to here. There is no line of sight here and here from the enemy MG. So this is important. And of course, if enemy sees you, you will also see the enemy. This is very important. Last thing, we will be using something called enemy activity check hierarchies, an important piece of information to tell us what the enemy will be doing. They will be using deliberate defense, so it will be not so easy to scare them off or force them to fall back. This is very, very important. Now, in order to win this scenario, there is a couple ways to do it. You can simply approach with your all units, fire at the enemy, and count that you finally kill it. You can bring the mortar fire. You can bring bazooka and fire with a grenade. You can fire with a grenade with those units. The beauty of this game is the number and breadth of width and breadth of options which you can use. We will focus on one idea we have here. We'll not be using the skirmish formation, which asks you to go with 1 unit in each column, because here is a kind of a kill zone. We'll rather split in a V formation and approach from 2 sides. There is some, cover here and here, and also we would like to get this MG in crossfire. And once we will be firing from here, we'll approach also with a mortar and bring some, stuff on them. Hopefully that will work. Let's see how exactly. we'll be following the sequence of play. We might skip some of the phases, but we still follow it in order for you to learn it. Yeah? That's the most important part of this exercise. Other than that, I believe we have all covered and we can start. We'll start from the game turn 1. We don't have friendly higher HQ event. We don't use this in those training scenarios. This is not a defense mission. This is an offensive mission, so there is no enemy action yet. First we'll have an action and then the enemy will have an action. We go to friendly command phase. The assumption is that we have battalion HQ outside of the map. We have company HQ outside of the map, and company HQ has one activation, and this activation can be only used one command can be used only to activate this first platoon. So they are being activated. Now we need to draw for commands in this impulse, and they are getting 3 because we have a big 3 here. Yeah. So they are getting 3. How are we going to use those commands? First of all, we'll activate those guys and move them here. Remember to put expose marker. Make it a habit, even if it doesn't make any difference now, because there is no line of sight here. But you never know. Yeah. Then we will also order the bazooka here, and we can use 1 and the same. And then we'll order the LMG to the left. Yeah? As I told you, we are trying to split, move both ways. And here we have also the exposed marker. Always have some useful markers next to your map. It really speeds up things later. Now, in initiative segment, we don't have company HQ. We already activated in this impulse the battalion HQ. We actually used all the 3 commands, so it is here. Remember to do it. If you have many HQs, you might get lost, yeah, in who did what. And still we have general initiative impulse. We don't have company HQ. The platoon HQ we already use. Only the HQs which were not activated can get this. The company staff, we don't have any company staff. So we simply jump to general initiative and let's see if we'll be able to activate somebody else. Okay, we draw this and we look at the smaller number, and because this is 1 platoon, we take 1/2, round it down. So this is 1 additional activation. Yeah, so what we'll do? I believe we'll push forward on both flanks. We don't want to enter those areas yet, because the LMG will immediately start firing at us. We want to do it simultaneously. This is important. Now we go to the enemy activity phase. There is no enemy higher HQ event segment, not in this scenario. And by the way, we do it from turn 2. Enemy activity check segment. So we need now to find the situation which we have now here. Here's always the situation description. Our situation, and you go from the top to the bottom, looking for the most fitting one. The most fitting one is not under fire and no line of sight to an opposing unit. Yeah, this is exactly the situation. What would happen? Remove unit, place potential contact marker. So normally, if enemy cannot fire at you and enemy does not have, is already uncovered, spotted, they will hide. They will simply hide, and we will put the potential contact marker. For this special, training scenario, we assume this is a no action, so they will not hide. They will stay, spotted, uncovered, and so on. So we can do the training exercise. Yes, and of course there is an automatic success on all 3. Normally we would look only for deliberate defense column. That's how we do it. We don't have mutual capture and retreat phase since no one is inclined to run away. We don't have anti-tank combat and vehicle movement because we do not have any vehicles in this scenario. And the mutual combat phase, it's also skipped because nobody is firing and nobody, so those three phases are skipped. Now, in the cleanup phase, first of all, we remove exposed markers. We move this here, yeah, and we move to turn 2. Quick, yeah, and nice. So this is our first turn. Let's move to the second turn. We try to approach and we try to get close with the enemy, and now it will be very, very interesting. We skip friendly higher HQ event, and then we jump directly to friendly command phase. Again, company HQ outside from the map activates first platoon HQ, so they will be able to receive the commands, and we need to draw the card to see what it will be. Okay, we draw card 21, a nice card, 4 commands. It's here, yeah. So 4 commands is a decent number. And what we will do? We'll start spending the commands. We will move ourselves here, first of all. Now we are marked exposed. This is the first command. And then we will remember that we don't have any radio communication here. We need to use visual verbal. So in order for this platoon HQ give orders, they have to be on the same card as the units. That is why I'm moving him here, because then they can push those guys forward. Of course, general initiative here can give orders wherever we want. However, here in the activation segment, you need to be on the same card. Now we order squad 1-1 to move straight forward, and here we pause. What happens now? We use 2 commands. We need to pause because now both sides seize each other. Immediately and before first platoon HQ can spend any more commands, the German LMG team and the 1-1 squad open fire on each other. We put this PDF marker, which shows, where the fire comes and where they are firing at here. Just trying to remind what PDF meant, but I can check it later on. No need to do it now. So we use this PDF marker here. And then what happens? Important thing in this game, just like in reality, unit does not need to wait for the orders from the higher command in order for them to start firing. They will automatically open fire. You need to stop them from firing actually, because otherwise they will be firing and firing. So to show this, we place this PDF. Now we need to also place a proper volume of fire on those cards. Those guys have small arms, so their volume of fire is +0. It will be modificator during resolution of the combat. And those guys, they have automatic weapon, which is a bit better. They have the modificator -1. So this is it. Usually you only put the best modificator on the card. If you would have, I don't know, small arms fire and automatic weapons fire at the same card, you would leave only weapons, automatic weapons fire. Of course, we have line of sight and we have the range. Both of those guys have long range, so they can fire at 2 cards. In looking strategically, this 101 is definitely a disadvantage. They have much better cover, 2 for the woods, 1 for the foxholes. They have only 1 for the orchard grove. The volume of fire is much bigger here than here, so we need to help them. And what we will do, we will first of all save those commands for the future, for the next round, and we count on the initiative segment to help us bring somebody here. So here we don't have company initiative impulse, we don't have Platoon initiative impulse. We would have Platoon initiative impulse if we have not ordered, of course, those guys. And by the way, they are exposed, of course, which makes it even worse. Now they have -3 on the total modifier. So what we'll do, we will roll for the general initiative, and we are lucky. If there would be 1 here, we would round down to 0. So we can order 1 unit, and this 1 beautiful unit, what it will be? LMG. Let's push with LMG. LMG is marked exposed and immediately starts firing at those guys. We put a PDF marker. Now they are automatic weapons, so this changes from the small arms volume of fire to the automatic. And the situation is a bit better. And because we fire from 2 sides, at the 1 card, we have also a crossfire marker. Now the situation is a bit better. It's not yet fully better, but a bit better. And yeah, hopefully during the resolution of the fight, some of them will survive. Remember, we want to bring also mortar on them. So we went through the friendly command phase. Now we go to the enemy activity phase. They don't have any kind of event, but we need to check at activity what will happen and which of those will be applicable. Yeah. So on the same card, no. On the same card, no. This is not under fire, no. Not under fire. Under fire, it's no. Under fire from a different direction to the own PDF. So let me explain how does it work. We are here under fire from a different direction to its own PDF. Now, this is, let's say, random number we need to draw. Out of 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, you see there is no possibility for fallback. This is a deliberate defense. We draw card 32 and we look at column 4, and you will have here the number from 1 to 4, which is a random number. We draw 3. What does it mean? That we draw 3, shift PDF to direction of incoming fire. They are aware that they are being fired from both sides, and what they are doing, they are shifting their fire from here to here. How do we reflect it? First of all, we'll have PDF here only one way, from here to here. They will not be firing anymore here. They will start firing here, and this PDF would be marked to the mutual fire. Yeah, this is the change. This is not exactly what we were planning and hoping for, because they are more vulnerable. Only 1 dot, so 1 level of health, like 3 here. Well, but such things happen. The German LMG has decided that our LMG team is more of a threat and has shifted its primary direction of fire to focus on it. Yeah, so this is their primary direction of fire. So we have now here the automatic weapons volume of fire marker. Exactly, and that's everything. Now let me move this aside. We jump now to mutual capture and retreat. Nothing happens here, but 80 combatant vehicles, nothing, but we'll have mutual combat phase. First of all, fire mission update segment. We don't have any fire missions, so nothing happens. Potential contact evaluation segment. We don't use potential contacts in this training exercise. Pinned recovery segment. Nothing happens here, nobody's pinned. But we have now combat effects segment. We do not adjust volume of fire PDF until the cleanup phase. We'll now go card by card through all the cards where we have volumes of fire and we need to resolve the combat. Important note, if you correctly were putting all the markers during your turn, you do not need to change anything now. Everything should be as it is, correctly placed, and you just resolve. We will resolve from top, from left to right. Top, bottom, left to right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we'll start actually with card 1. It's in woods, it's row 3, column 2, and we are here. What we need to do, we need to establish what would be NCM, Net Combat Modifier. Once we know this number, we draw an action card and check the combat resolution column to see what happens. It's pretty nicely described in the rulebook, but the example will also be good. So, what do we have here? They are under the fire from both sides, and they would have following net combat modifier. They have +2 for the woods, and they have +1 for the foxholes. They have automatic weapons, so -1, and they have crossfire -1. So the net is 1, +1. Now we will draw a card and we'll see what the effect will be. We draw a card, this is card 20, and on +1 this is pin, so this means they will get pinned. Yeah, exactly. So we need to place a pinned marker on them, which will make a difference later on during the game. It's only one, unit, so you can even put them like this. So you see that they are in foxholes and they are pinned. And let's be honest that being pinned will have some consequences. Such units suffer from reduced combat ability and various limitations on the kind of actions they can use. And the full number of limitations of the enemy units can be seen here. Here we have enemy activity check hierarchy, so what they do, and then we'll have also in their missions, when they are pinned and when they are, limit activation teams, what they will be doing. They will behave slightly differently. It will become apparent after the cleanup. So this was the first card. The next card we resolve is here. We calculate the net combat modifier for our LMG. +1 for all chart. Then -1, so 0 for the automatic weapons, and -2 for exposed. Not the best chances of survival. So we draw a card from the action deck. It's 49 and -2 is hit. Actually everything would be hit, as you can see. So they are hit, and now we need to check what kind of hit it is. It's not enough, just to be hit. There could be various hits, which can happen. When we'll be checking the hit, it's important what's the experience of the unit. Default is line, so we draw another card, and we look at the hit effect. This is a line, and we have L and C. Possible hit results are C, casualty, P, paralyze, L, litter, F, fire team, and A, assault team. This has only one, as you can see, dot, so it's only one unit is here, so we only look at the first letter. The first letter is L, so they will become a litter team. Unfortunately, they were crushed by this fire. It indicates that our LMG converts to a litter team. A litter team is a generic limited action team. We replace the counter. The LMG is no longer recoverable. We still can recover those guys to a fire team, but no more to the MG team. Simply MG is lost. And that's all for the combat resolution. We pinned those guys and our guys were hit. Now in the cleanup phase, a lot of things happen. First of all, exposed markers are removed. Now, yeah. What else? First of all, those guys are pinned. They are not so effective. They don't use automatic weapons anymore, and they will have volume of fire all pinned, so +2. This is what happens. Now, those guys, the leader team, by the way, when you are hit, you are automatically pinned. This is also important thing. Sorry for that. Those guys are automatically pinned, and they stop firing. This is a leader team. They think about their survival rather than, doing anything else. So those guys fire here, those guys are firing here. We don't have any more the crossfire, unfortunately. And the volume of fire is also reduced because the only one who is firing here is this team, and they have a small arms. So the situation drastically changed, and definitely not to our liking, but we still have some ISIS in our slaves. Those limited action teams, like this one, they are pretty, I would say, ineffective on the field of battle. They still can do something. The paralyzed ones would not do anything. The litter ones are still okay if you manage to rally them to the fire teams, and fire teams you can rally to the automatic, fire teams. That's all. We move to turn 3. Things are interesting. We go quickly through the friendly higher HQ event segment and activation. We are getting, the activation from outside company HQ, and we draw a card for commands. We are getting 2 commands, which with 2 saved will be 4 commands. Okay, what we'll do? First of all, we order bazooka to support those guys. This will be the first command. Then we move back ourselves here. This is the second command. Then we move the mortar forward and this unit forward. Yep. Exposed. Now those guys have a long range, so they can start firing at the enemy, and they will do this immediately. They have small arms, but still we are getting the crossfire. This is nice. And we don't have any more orders. Now, very important to get some initiative here, because we want to use the mortar. Card 17, we have 2 divided by 2, which is 1. That's not bad. And we activate the mortar. And the mortar will bring some, rain of fire here. They will draw, as I told you, 2 cards, and at least on one of them we need to see the burst. So we draw the 2 cards, we have a burst. We always draw the full set of cards for the mortar, because we can have some specific failure here. And we know this will be pending -3, and we also put mortar concentration so that it will be easier to fire later on. So we put this mortar concentration and incoming. What happens there? They don't have line of sight outside anymore, so they do not fire anymore. Yeah. And we can still fire there. There's too much dust and smoke for them to fire at anybody else. That's important consequence of the incoming fire. Now we move to pinned recovery segment. Those guys are not being fired at, so they automatically recover. And we now go to the combat resolution segment. And as you can see, there's only 1 hex which is under fire, and we will now calculate its modifiers. +2 for woods. It has burst income -1. It has pinned +1, and it has -3 for incoming mortar, so -1. and crossfire even 1 more -1. If you calculate all of this, you will arrive at -1, and you will draw the card. Let's hope for a hit, and we look at the type of hit. So this is hit effect, line P, paralyzed. MG is completely lost, and those guys are paralyzed. It cannot be worse than this. Really, they are decimated now due to this hit. Paralyzed teams can never rally back at LMG team, but a new LMG may enter them up. So, yeah, of course, so we keep it here. Yeah, so cleanup phase, we remove the exposed ones. In our phase, what else can we do now? It's almost game over. We can try to take them over, we can try to shoot them, they can also escape. Let's quickly start the turn 4. Let's see how many commands we get. 3 commands. We should of course put it earlier here. Yeah, we'll move those guys here, and we'll move those guys here. We're just quickly finishing, this mission, and we will save like 1 order here. Now, initiative segment, we have 1 order. Maybe we can try to rally those guys. Rallying goes that way. Remember, paralyzed to litter team to fire team to assault team. So we can try to do the attempt to convert a litter team to a fire team. Now, what enemy will do? Let's see. We are again pinned under cover, so let's see what action they will do. 48, 4, and they will fall back, so they will actually get out of the map, and they will not be here of any kind of threat to us. If they will get out from here, of course, that means also that we won the scenario, because we managed to clean everything. And by the way, when we enter with those guys here, we should also put PDF. Sorry for this. A bit chaotic, I know, but that's exactly how the fight looks like. That's all for today. This was a short training from how to assault the enemy positions. The enemy position was known, spotted, and there was not a problem to actually attack it. However, if you do not know the enemy positions and you would like to, attack them, this will be much more difficult. In the next, let's say, session, we'll be actually doing this potential contact. Thank you very much for today. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned, give thumbs up, subscribe, and we'll see each other soon in the next installment of the Fields of Fire Academy.